I recently bought the Razer Wolverine V3 Tournament Edition controller for the Xbox and PC. Razer is a well-known Singaporean and American gaming hardware company. At checkout, I used this code for a 5% discount, which comes by way of Snipedown, who is a popular professional controller player. I've had the V3 for a few days, and so far I think it is a great fit for first-person and third-person shooter games. I bought the V3 Tournament Edition for its relatively affordable price, 1000 Hz polling rate right out of the box, and back button design. From prior experience, I also like Razer products in general. The Tournament Edition retails for $100, and the Pro version is priced at $200. They both have a 1000 Hz mode on PC and the same back button design. The main differences between these controllers, according to Razer, are that the Pro version can go wireless, has easily swappable thumbsticks, comes with a hardshell carrying case, and has more advanced haptic feedback. My understanding is that the 1000 Hz mode is only active when wired on PC, on both versions of this controller. Hence, for PC players, the Tournament Edition seems like a better overall deal. The Hall effect thumbsticks feel similar to that of regular thumbsticks. My understanding is that they have a good reputation in the industry for minimizing thumbstick drift. The centering and stick drift on my unit were good. I typically replace my controller way before stick drift can develop from wear and tear, but I'll monitor these Hall effects to see if they confer any other advantages. You can download the Razer controller app from the Microsoft Store. I do have a tendency to accidentally click my right thumbstick, which is known as a panic punch in FPS games. It would have been nice to be able to remap and unmap the regular buttons, but unfortunately you can only remap or unmap the back buttons and the extra top buttons via the Razer app. The Wolverine V3 comes out of the box with a 1000 Hz polling rate on PC. You don't need any special software to overclock on PC, and the higher polling rate makes a difference in my opinion because of the lower input latency and smoother aiming. As discussed on the channel Gamer Heaven, I use this software to confirm the 1000 Hz polling rate. It's available on GitHub. The V3 operated as expected. I also performed a PC total system input latency test in which I compared this controller to a wired stock Xbox One controller that was connected at 125 Hz. I measured the time between the sound of the switch on the right face buttons when pressing down and the changes in the pixels on my display. It's not a completely apples-to-apples comparison since the button switch technology on the V3 is different. In the PC game The First Descendant, I measured an average input latency for this controller that was about 14 milliseconds better than that of a stock Xbox One controller. This latency advantage for the V3 is consistent with its faster polling rate. As an aside, if you want to take full advantage of the 1000 Hz polling rate of this or any other controller, you might need to disable Steam input when playing games via Steam. Another thing to keep in mind when considering this controller is that the dimensions are similar to that of an Xbox One or Xbox Series controller, but there are several small changes like how the analog sticks are spaced slightly further apart. In some cases, the change is a clear improvement over that of the Xbox, but in other cases, it seems like Razer changed something just for the sake of being different, but I was able to adjust to the differences within a few game sessions. Let's now talk about this back button design. In general, back buttons seem to be gaining market share over back paddles. Back paddles or buttons may allow you to aim easier while simultaneously performing actions like jumping, crouching, or sliding. If you use a claw grip or assign jump and crouch to the thumbsticks, it's possible to replicate the functions of back buttons, but I myself prefer back buttons or paddles. Back buttons do tend to be easier than back paddles for most gamers to adjust to. On the other hand, one major benefit of paddles is that you typically can remove some or all of them. Removable paddles can have an ergonomic advantage over buttons if you don't use all of the paddles or buttons. The back buttons on the Wolverine are placed on the grips and are stiff enough to prevent accidental presses. When gripping a controller normally, these buttons are positioned right below my index and ring fingers. The buttons are actually shaped in a way that make them feel a bit like paddles. After playing with these buttons, I think the main reason that I like them is that because of the shape and position, I can maintain all 4 fingers on the paddles in most situations, while also having a relatively natural feeling and secure grip. But that might vary depending on hand shape. So that's my review of the Wolverine V3 Tournament Edition. The key aspects are the relatively affordable price, 1000 Hz polling rate, and good ergonomics. It has only been a few days, but I'm very satisfied with my purchase so far and am using the V3 as my main controller.